Hey, honey?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Geeky Grind, a show where I go through what I've been doing nerd-wise. Right now I'm pretty much doing 40k, but I got some D&D stuff in the works. But yeah, so basically I talk nerd with you for a little bit, show you what I've been working on, and go over events I've played in, games I've played recently, or big news in the gaming community. And yeah, it's transitional period for Warhammer 40k. We're getting at the end of 9th edition. We got a couple more months, and then we're going to have 10th edition coming out, and there's tons of 10th edition spoilers. But before we talk about that news, we're going to hop over to the painting table, and I'm going to show you what I've been working on. Alright, so here's the painting table, and it is a lot less dense than it was last time. Been actually getting quite ahead on my Warhammer 40k painting. I am almost out of minis, but Imperium Magazine is coming next week, and we'll talk about that issue when it comes up next week. But for this week, let's talk about what I've gotten done. I got all of the sisters I've been working on, except for these few. The skin tones are the last step to put on some washes and get them taken care of. And then these arcoflagellants 1 and 2, along with my 3 Sisters of Pentia and my 3 Sisters of Battle, they'll be all set to get put away in the army case. Down here, I also got a penitent engine that needs to get finished being painted. A tech priest needs to be done. I got 3 breachers that need to get painted up. I got a Primaris lieutenant needs to get painted up. I got a Romaneth Realm Lord's archer to get painted up. I got Sir Hector to get painted up, and he's hiding behind Canis Rex, along with all the spare weapon options. I'm going to magnetize and get them so I can use them on this model to use them as a different guy if I want to, or also want to get some stuff painted up so I can swap out some weapons for Voltron and the rest. So definitely got some cool options here. Got some scatter terrain. That terrain comes from the Rampart. Yeah, that terrain set comes from this box, Rampart modular terrain set. Still, city ruins, still need to work on that a bit. But yeah, I got the car, the cannon, and the force shields, the little display screen, and the little arcing reactor. Those all to get painted up. Primed them silver, using masking tape to mask off any of the clear green plastic. I want to keep clear and green, so those are going to look really cool with some really like force field effects using that green plastic. And then we got more terrain. We got the pipes. They're all painted with our silver spray. Yes, that's right. I got a new airbrush, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. And the Sisters Castigator battle tank is all primed and silvered. You can see the gunner up there. I got her painted when I was painting up everybody else, and this is all done in sub-assemblies. The gunner comes out, the turret comes off, sponsons are still detached. I'm going to scrape down some glue so I can scrape down some paint so I can get some good attachment points on the side. But that and speaking of attachment points, I'm actually going to do Sir Hector in the cockpit for Canis Rex, have a little open top night. So I went and sprayed and primed all the pieces of the control panel and cockpit. I got the interior cockpit all painted up, primed black as well. I gotta get in there with a brush and get some silver on that. But yeah. Yeah, no, I'm quickly running out of 40k to paint. Of course, up top, we still have the box of shame full of Necrons waiting for the Imperium magazine to run its course in January, and I'm going to have a special little gift to myself. So yeah, the Imperium magazine should be getting wrapped up around my birthday, or the last Necron unit I should have by then. So I'll be able to sit down, spend the weekend, get all the minis painted, take them out, get them all primed up, bring them back in, and I think I can do, I really want to see if I can actually get, like, in 24 hours, can I paint an entire army of Necrons? And if I can, then I will succeed. I'll do the challenge. I know it's one of those rite of passages as a YouTuber to do some insane painting challenge where it's like, I gotta paint all of this in like these many hours, and I know it's like 2,300 and some odd points for the Necrons that come in the Imperium magazine, so it's going to be a lot of Necrons. Yeah, no, that's gonna be great, but that's probably not what you're here for. You're here for the terrain talk. That's right. Terrain in 40k 10th edition is going to change, and I think it's going to change for the better. We've got 9th edition rules are so convoluted, where you gotta sit there, you gotta have a discussion. You almost need to have what my friend Damien does for the tournaments up in Holton. He writes the terrain types and rules on a little post-it note, sticks them down beside, so everybody's like, this is what the terrain's going to be doing. Because we use a lot of home built as well as random collection of old kits that GW doesn't even sell anymore. They're out of his collection, and well, that's his collection. And then we got the like two to three tables worth of scatter terrain that's just been built by people at the shop. It's all wonky. It's not universal, and it's still fun though. It's a lot of an old school Warhammer feel that really got me into the game when I first played it back in the early 2000s. Well, in 2000. We had this really cool mountain that, was like basically the entire, like, half of the table was just this huge mountain with all these steps and stuff that you had to climb around and fight over. It was a really, like, King of the Mountain style table, which, that was really cool. One of these days I'll try to, like, recreate that table at some point, but I don't have the space to store that sucker, so I'm not building it while I'm living in this apartment. No, the simplification of the rules, I think I called one of the simplifications out in my last video where I talked about how I see GW moving away from having negatives. There's no more difficult terrain anymore. Forest, craters, all those things that would hamper your movement across them, it looks like they're gone. Like, there's no rules for that unless it comes up in the movement rules and not the terrain features. Then it looks like you're just gonna be like, yeah, no, there's no penalties to move across this stuff or through this stuff. It's just I get a bonus to my saves, and that's it. It's just cover just ends up being more defensive and not penalizing you for making use of it. And I like that. That's a lot of that's right out of Kill Team. And the other thing they showed off in terrains is, like, if you're 6 inches higher, you're up on a platform on, like, some of the tall terrain. I think they call it a punishing vanishing point in Kill Team, the really tall Kill Team terrain. If you're up there, then basically you get a bonus in order to hit your opponent. And I'm like, yeah. Vindicare Assassin up on the top roof of a platform or something. I mean, he just headshot. I think that's really cool. Like, I'm actually really pumped for a lot of the rules changes I've been seeing so far. The fact that we get to have bonuses instead of negatives, it keeps players like me who haven't been in for a while, or brand new players, from basically going, oh, well, I don't want to use that, I don't want to do that. I don't want a penalty. I don't want to get punished for doing something. And the funny thing is woods were actually one of my favorite terrain features because of the whole fact that it was so much harder to shoot stuff through the woods, and really nice to get a squad of long-range gunners just bunkered out in the woods, just sniping out from there, popping off shots. And I liked it, but when I played a more melee, have to get in my opponent's face army, I looked at the woods and I was just like, oh, this is horrible. You know, I'd love to use the woods for cover to be able to keep myself from getting shot, but if I'm running through the woods, I'm not really going to get in charge range, and that's going to suck because I've got my Black Templar's army is kitted out to be a total melee deathball. And just, you know, I think I probably got about 6 guns really in the whole army that aren't bolt pistols. And yeah, no, I can't. I guess a shooting army, that army just dies. Because even the vehicles kind of sucked in that army. Originally, my army consisted of 2 land raiders, and I was like, yeah, land raiders, yeah, these things are cool. Black Templar's got that strat where we can get out and run and charge and everything. And that changed from 8th edition to 9th edition, where you could just get out, but you couldn't charge. Like, it sucked. But now land raiders have the fact that they've got their assault ramps back, that you can run a land raider up, drop your dudes out, your dudes get out, they end up running further across the board, and you're into melee, and you're fighting, and you're having a grand old time. So, and the fact, I couldn't really understand, it's like, okay, so I can just get in a vehicle at the beginning of the turn, and then hop out at the end of the turn, or I gotta hop out before the vehicle moves. Like, 9th edition vehicle rules just didn't really make sense and made me feel kind of bad for the whole thing of like, okay, we can get out, and then the vehicle moves, and then somebody else can get in, and nah, I like it now. You get in, you get out, and if it moves and it gets out, all you can really do is just pop off shots after it moves. And I love that, because it's like, that's what a vehicle in combat is supposed to do. It's supposed to run up, everybody's supposed to get out, and just cover fire, you know, just lay down, just running out the door, just taking shots. And yeah, and the fact that they haven't really talked about, like, they talked about the assault ram, and I think the impulsor is the one that does it, where it moves up and then the guys can jump out and still be able to charge and all that cool stuff. So I think having some dedicated assault vehicles, some dedicated just move out and shoot vehicle, and everybody else is just move out and shoot. And the fact that drop pods can take Primaris units now. Oh boy, I am so pumped for being able to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna drop this. I'm gonna take a drop pod, and I'm gonna bring my Deathwatch little force that's got itself a 5 bolter dudes and 5 hell blasters, and I'm gonna drop those suckers down, and I'm gonna rain down some melty fire, and then I might take my big heavy shooty squad that I've got of Deathwatch and put them in another one and be like, bum, bum. All right, let's do this. Because I got nice layout. I got like each of the heavy weapons in the kill team, Deathwatch kill team set built up. You know, I can get down some cool stuff, lay down some, you know, bolter fire. I could put a unit of Devastators and a unit. Well, as long as it doesn't mean that like only the drop pod can drop only 1 unit, which I hope that doesn't end up happening. But still, the whole thing of like I can drop Devastator squad and a melee squad if they let me put 2 squads in there. If they don't, then I'm kind of like, well, yeah, I'm putting a 10-man unit of heavy weapons down and gonna basically be like, all right, let's do this. 10 block squad, defend this point. You got chaff bodies and heavy weapons. Go. So I like the new morale stuff. I like that, and I think that might actually force like some heavier squads, because I think you're probably like, it's 2d6 and you gotta get above your leadership, And it's just, can they do an action? Can they not do an action? And I think having, I mean, it doesn't, like, they don't run, they don't die to morale. So it's just kind of like their battle, they're shooken. A lot like, I've seen other games where it's like, I don't know, and the fog of war kicks in and you're all confused because your buddy just got shot. Yeah, I like the new morale changes. What else has there been for changes? Like, I talked about vehicles getting tougher. I talked about the weapons getting changed. Still haven't really seen what they're doing for like sniper weapons or anything like that. Still don't really have a list of who's independent characters and who's not independent characters, who has to be with a unit, who doesn't have to be with a unit. But I really think I'm going to end up having to build a second Sisters Repentia. Because I got this idea that's been kicking around in my head, and this is for the characters and units, being like you assign your character to units instead of them basically running around, and when one unit dies, they can jump over and command another unit, or they can, fan out in multiple squads with their stuff. I want to make a prediction right now, and I want to see if it holds true. So here's the prediction that I want to make. I think if a kit is sold in such a way that there is a character model in the kit along with non-character models in the kit, then guess what? That character is going to be locked to that kit. It's going to be if you have this squad and you want to take this character, you need that character for each of your squads, each of the copies of that squad you're taking. So I think Kill Team Cassius, with Cassius can only ever join Kill Team Cassius. Repentia Superiors can only ever join Repentia Superiors, if they're not going to end up being like pre-baked into that data slate. I think we're going to see, what's some of the other, I think Neurothropes and Malthropes, Venomthropes, and Zenathropes. I think Neurothropes are only going to be able to be like leaders for those squads. I think it's an easy one. I think One Eye is only ever going to be able to join Carnifex broods, and I'm trying to think if I know of any other characters that are baked into a squad kit, because those are the ones I've built. I haven't messed around with too much other stuff. I think I really haven't messed around with too many of the other squads. I don't think, what are some of the other ones that come with a character in it? Because I know Tyranids did it with Zoanthropes, Old One Eye. All the rest of their characters are sold independently. I know out of the Sisters of Battle, it was just the Repentia Superior. Kill Team was Kill Team Cassius. It's not one they do a lot, but I think we're going to see that. And it's like, oh, I want to run this. And it's like, oh, you need to have this character. Oh, and if you want to get the buffs on that squad, you got to have the character. And I really hope they don't do it for Sisters Repentia, where it's now the superior attacks that you've taken the squad, you got to take the superior, because I like the whole idea of being able to have like one superior on the table, and but back then it was one superior on the table if all of these Repentia die, and I've been marching them up close to each other to try to get that buff on both squads. Then one squad can die and the Repentia can run over and help out the other squad. But I think, I think it's going to be interesting, to just say the least. The one character I hope is universal and is not linked to another data sheet or a squad where you're basically like locked in, like this unit can only ever benefit this unit. Like this character can only ever benefit this unit. And that's the medics. I think the medics definitely need to have independent operative. You need to have a medic that's running around the board. If the squad that they're babysitting dies, another squad can run over and be like, we're here to get the medic. and we'll get you out of here. We'll get you out of here. You know, because I'd hate to just be like, take a hospitaller and she's locked to my melt-a-gun Repentia squad for Retributor squad for the entire game. Granted, some games she ends up being locked to that squad for the entire game, but there have been a few times where I've been like, okay, so let's fall back this squad over here, run her over here, get them all behind some cover, hopefully have it, you know, well, run them over towards each other like they're picking up their buddy, running over, medic! Hospitaller comes out and like, resurrect! And like 3 of them stand up and they're like, okay, we're gonna guard the medic. She's brought back her friends. Okay, let's get her over where she needs to be, and you know, do that kind of thing. You know, I usually keep my apothecaries in death balls. Like to put one in a drop pod, run the other ones up next to it, run like a melee, have that drop pod, do the devastators, and then have the some melee dudes run up. They're probably getting popped off along the way, need some help healing. I like that. I like that, being able to be like, my medic is over here, and if somebody needs some help, I can run a troop over to them, get them together, and be like, okay, let's heal you up, let's get you back ready to fight, and let's do this. But if you gotta link it to one squad, then it just becomes the whole thing of like, that one squad's got a medic in it, and then you can't really do anything. And it's like, And the reason why I'm like, is because I could see it being a thing because of like the Helix Gauntlet and the med pack in command squad, in the guard command squads, and the med pack guy in the Leagues of O10. They're all just like, oh, we get to ignore the first failed save kind of thing, and you can't really just resurrect. They don't really do the full heal and everything like that. And I'm like, no. I want a dedicated medic that can run around the field, and I want to see unified across the board rules for medics. And I like the ones for the mechanics, the orc mechanic that came out, having it so it's like, okay, I get to repair. You get both stratagems. Like you get both abilities the medics usually have, and one of them was a stratagem. It's like awaken the machine spirit, giving it +1 to hit, making it act as if it's on its highest bracket. You also get because now vehicles really don't bracket. Then you also get the whole thing of getting back the D3 wounds. I love that. I want to see more of that. I want to see that whole thing like baked. I want to see like the medics and the techs definitely be these guys that can run around and be like, okay, you need help? All right, fix you up. Move on to the next thing. Fix you up. So definitely think, because I think the orc medic is actually the orc mechanic. I don't think he's tied. I think he has independent operatives so you can run around and fix different stuff. So hopefully the medics will have run around and fix extra stuff kind of roles. Yeah, no, it's basically like I said. I'm loving 10th edition so far. I can't wait to get some games of it in, and I think I've rambled long enough. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Let me know what you guys all think about 10th edition. What do you think of how much I got left to paint? Do you think I can get this all taken care of before next week? And yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace.